Really unbelievable. Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has dropped a massive Manchester United transfer hint today in his press conference, and also a major development with probably most Manchester United fans' number one target. If you're interested in what I was just talking about then, actually I was talking about January. I don't know whether it's like it where you are, but effectively my other half goes regularly to the gym and can always book into weekend courses very easily. Today there is a 10-person waiting list, and it's only Friday for a Sunday class, and this is because general society is stereotypical, and every lazy git is now doing I'm going to get fit in January, and they'll last about 3, maybe 4 weeks, and then they'll be back eating pies in February. You could set your clock by it. These people, these bloody people, they're out running. You know, you go and you pop down to the chip shop at lunchtime, they're all bloody running round. Biggie lard arses. They'll be back in the chip shop by February. I just laugh at them as I'm eating my battered sausage. But I digress. Let's talk about this because it's interesting. I mean, I purposely didn't talk about it in the press conference reaction because I wanted to talk about it tonight. Heck says it's the same here. It is. It's absolutely bang on. It's like the people who go and get the petrol in the car on a Sunday because they want to sit in a queue. The people who go into town on a Saturday because they like it busy. Sheep, bear, go and support Derby. But we're not playing Derby tomorrow. We're playing Reading. But that's irrelevant anyway. What I want to talk about is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because there were some people today saying, oh, it's very clear from what Ole said that we're not going to be signing anybody. And I thought, it's abundantly clear that we are, because what he said when he was asked about transfers is that the club clearly has a plan already. They will have had the plan since the summer, and they'll be working on next summer already. And I will be asked for my opinion on it, but it's immense what's going on at this club. It's massive, and I think that Solskjaer has said that a couple of times over the last 2 or 3 weeks about the size of the club in relation to the scouting network and everything like that. And I've said this as well, and you know it, that when it comes to Manchester United transfer, they don't wake up on January the 1st and go, oh, let's get my almanac out of footballers 2018-2019, open it up. Oh, can we get Dybala? Can we get this? They're working on deals for a long time before January, and they will be working on summer deals now because some signings can only be done in the summer. And it's interesting that Chelsea were very close this afternoon to signing Hirving Lozano, apparently, but then Mino Raiola, who is his client, which is a big thing that I'd forgotten, even though I knew it because I've mentioned it a lot of times before. We won't be signing Lozano, even though I'd like to sign Lozano, because I don't think the relationship with Raiola and United is that good. Although it wasn't good with Mourinho, maybe we can rescue that now. But he's come out and said that he's a PSV player. He'll be a PSV player till the summer, and PSV want to keep him for even longer. So that is a deal that's not going to happen till the summer by the sounds of it. But from Manchester United's point of view, I am convinced, totally convinced, that we are going to sign at least one player this January transfer window. And I'm convinced by that because I think Solskjaer drops the biggest hint yet when he said that the plans will have been in place for a long time. I'm sure I will be consulted and I will speak to Ed Woodward. But it's Solskjaer to me, and I've said this one before, I have said this many a time, that when it comes to Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I feel that already it's like he is what Manchester United want that role to become. You've got a manager who is a people manager and is a tactical manager, but everything that goes on above him, there's basically a director of football, and that's what he's speaking like already, as far as I'm concerned. That is what he's actually doing. So, and that's what I believe he is doing. So I'm convinced we're going to sign players. It's interesting because there's news this evening about Koulibaly, that Manchester United may now wait till the summer to sign Koulibaly. I know he's your number one target for a lot of you. And the reason they might wait for the summer is because they don't feel they can do the deal in January, because Napoli are a bit reluctant to do a deal, and the sort of money they'd have to pay, you're talking north of £100 million, which I would say, I mean, how high would you go for Koulibaly, just as a matter of interest? Because I've got my opinion, but I don't think he's worth anything more than 100 million. I don't think he's worth anything more than 90. And if United are in a situation where they want him, and Koulibaly maybe wants to move himself, but he's just signed a 5-year contract in September, United are going to have to put some legwork into this deal, and Napoli won't budge, then it might be that they've got to wait till the summer, and that's certainly the latest news around that. But always in the back of my mind, there is this Manolas thing. There's this Manolas thing. that he's £34 million. But just going back momentarily for what Solskjaer said, when he said, that plans will have been in place for a long time, that what Solskjaer said is almost, it's a hint, but it's irrelevant what he thinks, because if those plans have been in place for a long time about January, the only thing that's going to stop us signing players is if the club decide, well, those targets were when Mourinho was the manager, and maybe we'll wait till the summer when we know what's going on with our manager. But I would flip that around and say, well, whether Mourinho's manager or not, we do need a centre-back. Whether Mourinho's manager or not, we need a right midfielder. And they're the two positions I think we're going to be looking at. And also what I would say is that when Manchester United were looking at the players they wanted to sign in January, if they were really distinct Mourinho signings, then I don't think they would have been looking to sign them players anyway. Say Jose Mourinho in October said to Ed Woodward, I need a centre-back and I need a right midfielder in January, and it's Jerome Boateng and it's Willian. I don't think the club would have been... I think they would have gone, all right then, let me write that down on my magic pad with my magic piece of paper, invisible writing. Thanks, Jose. Close the door and throw the magical piece of paper in the bin. They wouldn't do it because the performances in October, he was already hanging on. So why would you go and buy very Mourinho-centric players like Willian and Boateng? Because if Mourinho gets the sack, you've lumbered the new manager with two players they probably never would want. I think United would have been looking at long-term, looking to sign players in January, but looking at players that most managers would want, i.e. your Koulibalys, maybe your Memphis Depays. That's who I think we're looking at in January. And I don't see why we would change from that. The only thing that would change is if we can't get those deals done. And I believe that United think that they can get a couple of deals done, and I do think that we're going to see some in January. I think there's an impatience. I think there's a bit of an impatience that I've seen on social media today. Why are we not being linked to anyone? Chelsea nearly getting Lozano, Chelsea getting Pulisic. But it's the 4th of January. There is still 27 days, just under 4 weeks left in this transfer market. And it's not always about who comes in as well. It's about who goes as well. So I think that is... That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one, and I certainly think that we will be doing business. And I think Solskjaer's interview today, where he talked about it, was very, very distinct. For those who didn't hear what I said, he said the club has plans already. They'll have had them since the summer. They're working on deals for next summer, and I will be asked for my opinion on that, of course. I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if Manchester United want Koulibaly, I'm sure they'll have the courtesy to say, Ollie, would you mind having Koulibaly for the next 3 or 4 months? Because that's what you're going to be manager here for. And I think Ollie's going to go, of course I wouldn't mind. I'd love to have that sort of player. So, United are going to be looking at decent players, and I firmly believe that we will do business in this January transfer window. Because we have to as well. That was what I wanted to say as well. We do have to, because we're in that position. We're not Spurs, we're not Liverpool, we're not Man City. We're not going for a title, we're not comfortably in the Champions League spots. For me, I think Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea will be in the Champions League. I think Spurs have this knack of pulling out consistent results away from the top 6. I think Liverpool and City are obviously going for a title. So there's one space up for grabs, and that's ours or Chelsea's. It's not Arsenal's. Arsenal, fucking irrelevant. Realistically, they're not going to be in the top 4. I said in the summer, if Arsenal get top 4, Emery deserves player in the month, manager of the year, and player of the year, and everything else. Golden Glove, the lot. He deserves it all, because that squad he's inherited isn't a top 4 side, and it needs a hell of a lot of work, and he will not be able to do that in one season. And that's not about taking the mickey out of Arsenal. There's plenty of ammunition for that. The Sados actually celebrating Liverpool losing last night because they keep the Invincible Cup. They weren't even invincible that season. They were invincible in the Premier League. They lost in all the other cups. They're a set of madheads. They're absolutely off their rockers. I mean, we've kept the Invincible Cup for another year. Do we, as Manchester United fans, sit here every season mathematically looking at who could win the treble? I mean, at the moment, Liverpool and City technically could win the treble. They're both in the FA Cup, they're both in the Champions League, and they're both going for the title. Are we sat here going, please lose in the FA Cup or the Champions League? We don't want to lose our treble. Well, we don't want to lose our treble because it actually means something. But we're not sat there pontificating about it like Arsenal fans last night. Oh, we've got the Invincible Cup for another year. 15 years ago. But the race for top 4 is really important. And I think Arsenal will try and spend some money, if they've got any, I don't know. But Chelsea certainly will, and we have to. And that's why I don't think this board will sit back and just go, let's wait and see what happens in the summer. Let's wait and see what happens in the summer. Because they could spend 50 million in January and give us a better chance of getting top four. And that 50 million is worth it. I think it's a great situation for Manchester United fans. And I think it's a great situation for Manchester United fans because what Ollie's done in the last 4 games, and with results going our way, we are 6 points off Chelsea and top 4. In the middle of December, top 4 was done and dusted. We were not going to get it. And here we are, in the January transfer window, 6 points off 4th place. And Chelsea have got to come to Old Trafford. So you can technically say it's 3 points. Do you think the board are sat there thinking, we're not going to spend any money in January, we'll wait till the summer when we're in the Europa League? If we spend 50 million and it helps us get top 4, that 50 million instantly comes back in because you get a hell of a lot more money in the Champions League than you do in the Europa League. United, it is inevitable that we're going to spend money this month because we are so close to top 4, you can almost touch it. And to touch it, you've got to spend money. It's like a strip club. If you want to touch it, you better get your hand in your wallet because you ain't touching it without it. You're going to get beat up by doormen, thrown out on the street, and the only thing you're touching is a kebab and chips on the way home. And that's what it's like for United now. It's a very, very good analogy, that one, because it is. We're so close to the goods that we can touch it, but we're going to have to spend a bit of money, and I think United need to do that. Jake Green says Koulibaly can already speak English, so it's a yes from me. It's better than our captain, isn't it? There we go. What's the transfer hint, says Akra. Somebody explain it to him. A lot of people are talking to me about somebody. I'm not even going to answer. That's 2018, 2019. United Stand obviously won a game of football last year. I actually was having a direct message with the True Geordie today. He's got a football team called XO. I said, would you fancy a football game? He said, definitely up for that. So hopefully we're going to sort it out. So if you want to talk about anything exciting in the live comments, hopefully the United Stand will be putting our trophy on the line as the king of YouTube. United Stand will hopefully be having a game against True Geordie's team, which is XO, which has got people like Lawrence on it, Stephen Tries, Winey, True Geordie. I think that's going to be a really good game. So hopefully we can get that off the ground. That is exciting news because I think that'd be a really good game. So we're looking at new fixtures this season. I ain't looking back at any little petty stuff. That's been dealt with. You've been buried. Eulogy's done. Over. We're looking at something else, and that's all I'm interested in. I'm not interested in all this other stuff. So there we go. Can't wait for that, says Quasi. I hope we can arrange it. I really hope we can arrange it, to be honest. But we'll see what can happen. But it sounded a bit positive in the conversation we were having today, which would be good. Ndidi and De Jong, says Graham Allen. Well, interestingly, I heard Ndidi's linked to Manchester City, Graham Allen. I heard that Ndidi's linked to Man City, which worries me a little bit because Lozano's a player I like, linked to Chelsea. Fabinho was a player I liked, went to Liverpool. I mean, look, I'm not saying I know it all. I don't like being a know-it-all, and I always highlight when I get things wrong. But I did say the summer when we got Matic, I wanted Fabinho, and everyone was like, "Oh, hold the L, Mark. Matic is the man because he played well against some shit team the first game of the season." Look at what Fabinho's doing for Liverpool. He came on. I don't know why Liverpool didn't play Fabinho yesterday, by the way, but many of us are very happy about it because Liverpool lost. But the minute he came on, they were a better team. I wish we'd got him. I wish we would get Lozano, and I do wish we would go for Ndidi. I've got a feeling about those sort of players, and I hope that I hope that we do. Aftab says XO are a great team. You'll get battered with a girl in your team. I love bring that all on because everybody said that last time, and we played semi-pros and we beat them 3-1, and we'd only met each other half an hour before. I absolutely love these people who pontificate about how this is going to happen, and then you end up with a tattooed L all over your arse. So keep bringing it on. I love it. Freddie's a good player and would love to see him more before calling him names. Says Big Hands 69. What names are we calling Fred then? What names are we calling Fred? I don't know. Flop, Smarty Pants. Crap hair. I don't know what we call him Fred. I don't know. I didn't know we were all calling him names. I like Fred. I think like Lindelof, a lot of people who've had a go at Fred are going to end up with egg on their face. And having a girl in our team, I must just say, Sophie plays professional football in women's football. So I think it's a bit of a sexist comment actually. And I think to be honest with you, Sophie played far better than half of our team, and some of our team were very, very good players as well. So yeah, just a little bit sexist there and knobheadish, if I could remember who it was who said it. Fosu Mensah will be coming back by the looks of it. Ranieri basically said that if he wants to, I like Ranieri, but it was quite a. I suppose it's lost in translation because his English would not be as good. But what he basically said was, if Manchester United want Fosu Mensah back, they can have him because I'm not using him anyway. It's just like, oh, please, can we have a player back that Fulham, the relegation candidates, don't want to even pick? I mean, that's the harsh, blunt line, isn't it? Yeah, please let us have a player that you don't want as a relegation candidate. I mean, it's not the most enthralling thing for Fosu Mensah to hear, but as I said, his 2 loans have not gone particularly well. He needs to sort himself out because opportunities are there, and I like him. I like him a lot. I'd be too busy. Here we go. We need the winger player, Lozano, says Tensi. I think we desperately need a winger. I think we desperately need a right winger at Manchester United. But in trying to explain maybe why we didn't get Lozano or Pulisic, I have a pretty good theory on this, and that is, we can talk about, we need Lozano or whoever, or Leon Bailey or whoever, but actually, when you look at the facts, the players we've got who can play out wide, Martial, Rashford, Sanchez, Lingard, Mata, 5 international players, all can play right and left midfield, right and left wing, or whatever you want to call it. So when Manchester United want to sign a right winger, then Ed Woodward can quite comfortably say, but we're not Chelsea where they've got Hazard, Pedro and Willian, and that's it. We've got 5 options and you want another one. I think the problem is those 5 options, maybe 2 of them shouldn't be at the club anymore if you want to bring somebody in. I think this is reflective of Manchester United's bigger problem. We've got a squad that's too big, and most of that big squad are international players. But we need to be harsh and ruthless and get rid of some of them to bring better players in. Because even when you talk about the centre-back issues, well, Rojo's an international, Jones is an international, Smalling isn't, but he's quite consistent, Lindelof's an international, Bay's an international. That's 5 centre-backs again, all internationals, and we had Daley Blind before. Darmian's an international. You know, these are Manchester United's squad, because Manchester United is full of internationals and good calibre players, but we need to be ruthless to get rid of some of them to get better players in. And the right midfield position is exactly the same. And I do agree with Jerome, we do need a centre-back. I do agree with that, but it's where we go and how we do it. And I certainly think that United need to be looking at being a little bit more ruthless. It's about who we get rid of as much as it is about who we bring in as well. Link in the video description for Football Index. I just want to give this a shout out. We do it on the Transfer Daily every morning, but a few people have been asking me today. I've had a few direct messages, people saying, I want to invest 20 quid in it, which is the minimum I would put in if you're going to play Football Index. Who do you think are players to go for at the moment? Well, if you can see my portfolio, the way Football Index works is it's like the stock market for football players. You can buy shares in players and watch them go up and down. You can buy and sell quickly, or you can do what I do, which is a bit long term. But I know some people don't. There's a forum for it. It's very involved, and I think a lot of people who like football, FIFA Football Manager and FIFA Ultimate Team will like it because you actually can use real money to buy shares in players. You've got to be over 18, do go gamble responsibly, but remember, it's not like a £10 bet on a game and if it doesn't go off, you lose your tenner. If you buy 20 quid's worth of shares in, say, Anthony Martial, which would get you about 4 shares, if his price starts to go down, you're going to lose a few pence, but it's about going up. That's my portfolio, as you can see, and to be honest with you, I only bought Taheith Chong yesterday, and already I've made 15 pence on the 7 shares that I've bought, because I haven't, I've made more than that. I've made £1 on the 7 shares that I bought in 24 hours, and that's the sort of players I would be looking at. If you want my tips, go for United players. Sanchez, Chong, Pogba's very expensive. He's £16 a share, and I don't know what his ceiling is. It could go up as high as 20 quid, I suppose. But Rashford's gone up a lot recently. Martial, but Taheith Chong, Angel Gomez, Mason Greenwood. These are the sort of players that I would be looking at. Alexis Sanchez, because they've got growth in them, and I think they're going to be involved, and they're going to do well. But also, it's not just about United players. you might want to look at Samuel Chukwueze of Villarreal. I don't know why his price is going up, but prices will go up based on news stories and performances on the pitch as well. Like Timo Werner, lots of noise around him. Callum Wilson, lots of noise around him. But Tahith Chong is very high at the moment. He's nearly like number one in the top 200 players for growth, because a lot of people feel he's going to play tomorrow. Same with Angel Gomez. Nabil Fekir is another one. Kessie, I like Kessie, he's an outsider for United. James Rodriguez. So link in the video description for that. Give it a go. As I said, I think if you're going to do it, because of the price of the shares, you want to put at least 20 quid into it. And I do it as sort of a long-term investment. I've got a little bit of money tucked aside that I just invested into Football Index. And at the moment, I've made 100 quid in a matter of weeks, which is the best thing I've ever done in relation to gambling and stuff like that. So link in the video description. Give it a go. And my tips, as I say, would be Manchester United players, would be Gomez, Chong, Greenwood, which I'm very excited about tomorrow. But even if one of them doesn't play tomorrow, I still do think that Ollie is going to use them, because apparently Angel Gomez, he's refused a loan for him because he wants to give him some game time. So link in the video description for Football Index and give it a go. Alu God says, I'm worried we're not going to sign anyone this winter. Do you think we'll get anyone? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do think we will get somebody. I'm confident about it. I said the same thing last year. I got the player completely wrong. I don't think anybody predicted we were going to sign Alexis Sanchez at the start of the transfer window last year in January, but we did. I would love us to do a signing like that. Somebody we've got no idea about. I think if you're asking me who the top 5 players were most likely to sign, I would say, and in no particular order, by the way, but if you're asking me for my top 5 players that I think we're most likely to sign, I would say Koulibaly, Manolas, Alderweireld, Memphis Depay, and my 5th choice would probably be, as an outsider, maybe the lad Melatao from Porto. So one of those 5 might be my prediction. Brandon Duffy says, no one mentions Keita. He's always on the bench too. Yep, Liverpool player. Costa Kiki Kira says, what are your thoughts on Manolas versus Koulibaly? I'll answer that in a minute. Nicholas P, if Chelsea win the Europa, is there a 5th place up for grabs for the qualification? I don't know how it works, Nicholas. I don't think there is, because I think when we won the Europa League, we didn't finish in the top 5, did we? So I don't know how it works. Josh Coleman says, Koulibaly in Dubai, United going to Dubai. Thoughts? Yeah, interesting. Thanks for that contribution, Josh. In the conversation of Koulibaly or Manolas, I think I spoke about this on That's Football last night, so I'm not duplicating. My thoughts about that are that there's not a lot between Koulibaly and Manolas, right? I watch a lot of Italian football. I've said that for years. I watched it ever since Italia 90. That's how old I am, and it used to be on Channel 4. I've always been intrigued by Italian football, and I think over the last couple of years it's really improved as well. It was always quite a slow tactical league, but they've had to change if they want to be successful in Europe, because European football's changed. Manolas is a player that I really like, and I have liked for a long time. Costas Manolas, Roma. He's around the same age as Koulibaly. I think if you'd asked me probably 2 years ago, I would have said I prefer Manolas over Koulibaly. But I think at the moment Koulibaly is the better signing. But there's not a lot between it. But there is in relation to the price, because Koulibaly could cost you 90 million, Manolas will cost you 30 million. So if I was a businessman, I'd sign Manolas, because I don't think there's a huge amount of difference. And Koulibaly's fast, Manolas is fast for their size. Koulibaly's dominant in the air, Manolas is dominant in the air. They're both experienced. They're both experienced in the Champions League. They're both decent on the ball. They're both very strong. They're both sort of leader centre-backs. They both read the game very well. Koulibaly is the better one, but there's not a lot between them. I'd be very happy with either. Thomas Alain says, Jose Jimenez, centre-back from Atleti and great quality. Yeah, hard to do business with Atletico Madrid, though, especially in January. I actually heard that Griezmann's going to Juventus in the summer, by the way. I heard that this evening. Gustavo Cortez, why is Danilo starting over Kyle Walker? We've had a couple of things now come in about Liverpool and Man City. This is the United Stand. It's a Manchester United fan channel. That's Football's more generic. I don't know why Danilo started last night. I think Kyle Walker's much, much better, but I've got no idea. But yeah, apparently Griezmann's going to Juventus in the summer. I don't want Griezmann at my club anymore anyway. I think he's a traitor as far as I'm concerned. Jacob Mundez says, I hope Lukaku leaves. I think Lukaku's got a big decision to make. I've said this before. I think he has. I think Marcus Rashford for me is the number one for Manchester United, number 9. And is Lukaku going to be happy to be a bench player? No, he's not. I don't blame him for that, but he won't be. And I think if United have Lukaku as their number 9, we're screwed. So maybe he has to go. Get both of them, says Trigger Shot Game, and I don't think we'll sign 2 centre-backs. I really don't. The GMP says Manolas just scored on Football Manager 19 for me. I'm having a nightmare with Football Manager 19. I've just started it. It's so in-depth. It's ridiculously in-depth. I'm Solihull Moors and I've got like under 18 games and scouting games to watch. It's ridiculous. What about giving Napoli Bay, says Odin Midgard. Company should have been sent off. Oh, see, everyone's talking about that game again. Nathan says hello from Notts, my hometown. I've not lived there for a long time, but hello, Nathan. Maybe include Lukaku in a swap deal, says Gindadu YouTube. That wouldn't be a bad idea, to be honest with you. Do you think Fred is more a modern CDM rather than a CM, says Jacob is Red? Look, Reading are crap. Let's be honest. Reading are absolutely crap tomorrow, but it's a big opportunity for people like Fred to play. And as I said, if Pereira doesn't play, he's gone. Purpose says, Mark, what about a CM? I don't think we'll sign a centre midfielder this transfer window. I don't think we will for many reasons, but I don't think we will. I think we do need to sign one, but I don't think we'll sign one in January because you've got Matic, who I think we can get by with till the summer. You've got Fred, who needs game time. You've got Herrera. You've got Pogba. You've got Fellaini. You've got McTominay. You've got Pereira. All of which, in their different ways, have got to be given an opportunity. So I don't think we're going to sign a midfielder in January. I mean, nothing would make me happier than us signing a midfielder. Hopefully an Ndembele or an Ndidi. But I do not believe that we'll do it. I think it's more of a summer signing. I think what you're looking at in this month is a centre-back and maybe a right midfielder. Mr. Johnson, this is Manchester United. We should go after young players who can be the best in the world, like De Ligt and De Jong. I think they're both going to PSG, mate. And I think that's all about money. When PSG start doing their thing, it's a bit like when City do their thing, isn't it? Rabiot is off to Barcelona. Would have loved him at United, says Zed Jamie again. Yeah, United can't compete with that. Rabiot would have been a good signing for us from PSG. But when Barcelona come through, we can't compete with that at the moment. Philip Burtonwood says some childish fans on this show that come off with disrespect things, grow up and talk some sense. There you go, Philip's had his say. Thanks for the contribution, Philip. Give Alexis Sanchez to Juventus for Douglas Costa. Well, there was some talk today that Sanchez still really wants to leave United. I mean, I would take that with a big bag of salt, not just a pinch, because he looks interested. The only thing that worries me about Sanchez is, Sanchez came on for Martial. I don't want to see Sanchez playing on the left in Martial's position. They are two of our best players. They should not be like one of them's got to play. Put one on the bloody right. Mark, United should concentrate on getting people out in January and wait for the permanent manager to bring players in, says Ari Guadalia. It's a good point. I would love to see... Darmian's got to go, hasn't he? Darmian's got to go, Valencia's got to go, Jones has got to go, Fellaini's got to go. If we can get rid of 4 players, great. It's not going to happen in January, I don't think. 5D, I think Fellaini will start tomorrow, by the way. 5D Gamer says, I'd love Werner and Kimmich for United. Good players. Who could we bring to replace Matic? He needs to go, says Costa Kiras. Ndidi, Ndembele. There's options out there for sure. Please do smash a like on the video. Let's see if we can get 1,000 likes while we're live. Get rid of Valencia, Young, Mata, Fellaini, Rojo and Jones. Valencia, yeah. I think apparently Rojo's the number 1 player that United want to get rid of. He has become very injury prone as well. I don't disagree. I mean, let's not forget, Rojo we nearly sold in August. I was actually at something on transfer window day, deadline day in August with that Toffee TV, the Everton fan channel. And they said that Rojo was going to Everton and it fell through at the last minute. So I think United are looking to move Rojo on. Brandon Duffy, how much? Sorry, JSRNSN. How much would United get for Lukaku? A bag of crisps at the moment. And Brandon Duffy, also important, we hold on to De Gea, Pogba and Martial. Yeah, those contracts are massive for Manchester United. Absolutely massive. In all seriousness, no. Lukaku, would we recover 75 million for him? To be honest with you, if somebody gave us 60, I'd take it. He's whatever anybody says about Lukaku, he's still a goal scorer, isn't he? He still scores goals. He has got a terrible first touch and his build-up play is terrible, but he does score goals. Louis Molina says, our wingers and midfielders are solid. We need a centre-back. Dilly. I don't know what that means, but thanks for the contribution. We do need a centre-back. I disagree with you about us having a solid midfield and wingers. I still think we need strengthening there as well. Wilf Chogugu says, maybe Mendes didn't send us his player clients because he knew of Jose's poor treatment of players. Yeah, Mendes never did send us a player, did he? I mean, it'd be interesting to see if we ever do business with Mendes now. Mourinho's gone. Because De Gea is still his client. Imrano TV, do you think if Sanchez can perform on the right, we need to waste money on a right winger? Well, I think that's a great point. I talk about, I'd like Lozano, I'd like Leon Bailey, I would have liked Pulisic. A lot of people think Memphis should come back, but so many of us have always felt Alexis Sanchez on the right-hand side would solve our problems, and we don't seem to want to do it. And I think tomorrow against Reading, you'll see Sanchez starting off the left again. I don't get this thing with playing Alexis Sanchez on the left, and I don't even understand why Ollie, Carrick, Phelan think it's a good idea either, because it goes beyond whether, I'm a Martial fan, so I want Martial to play ahead of Sanchez. If they both want to play on the left-hand side, then Sanchez better get used to the bench, because for me, Martial's better. But it's not just about that. It's not just about who's better. It's about who's better for Pogba. And we've gone over this ground so many times. Martial will hug the touchline, which allows Pogba to come forward. Sanchez will come inside, and when Pogba comes forward, it doesn't work. So I don't know why we've gone back to... And I know it's only one game against Newcastle where we subbed Martial for Sanchez, and that could have been tactical. But realistically, we were crap down the right-hand side, so why not bring Sanchez on? I'm a little bit worried that even Ollie is going to go, well, it's Sanchez on the left or Martial on the left. But that's not the choice. It's not just about who's better, Martial or Sanchez. If you go with Sanchez, he's going to fuck Pogba up, because Pogba and Sanchez don't work. Because Sanchez comes into the area that Pogba wants to come into, or Pogba comes, however you want to read it. So Sanchez on the right-hand side, for me, is brilliant, because he can tuck in. But he's also right-footed. Daniel Carr, Mark, what's your thoughts on possibly getting Champions League from 5th if City get banned for financial foul play? I purposely haven't really had a comment on this, because at the end of the day, how low do you want to go? I mean, I think finishing 4th is crap, really. 20 years ago, it wouldn't be considered anything. It's only because top 4 now gets you Champions League, and suddenly 4th is like a valuable place to finish. It's still 4th place. What's 4th place? So now 5th place could get you in top 4, and only in Champions League, and only because City cheated. It's like, let's finish in the top 4, and if somebody who finishes 5th gets in the Champions League, let them celebrate because of somebody else's misfortune. I don't really like that. I don't. I mean, I wouldn't refuse it. If we finish 5th and City get banned and we get the spot, obviously it's good, but it's not really what we should be sort of aiming for. Let's see what happens. Sorry, I'm just getting rid of a dickhead on the live comments. Shazam Saman says, is Blood Brothers fake? Just answer, please. I had nothing to do with the production of it. I had nothing to do with any interviews for it. I turned up on the day. I played football. I answered a few questions and I left. I didn't see the editing of it. I wasn't allowed to see the editing of it. I do not know whether it is fake, staged or anything like that. We turned up. We played a game of football. We won. That was it. I found the whole process an absolute bloody nightmare. And I will never go through it again. That's all I will say. Whether it's a pantomime behind the scenes, I don't know. Fuzzy Pickle says, what's your problem with Jesse Lingard? You hate him. I think you need to get with the programme, mate. I think some people get mixed up with different programmes. I don't hate Jesse Lingard. I haven't said anything negative about Lingard in a long time. I'll admit I'm not convinced that Jesse Lingard is a first teamer if you want to win a Premier League title, but that's not just the same as Jesse Lingard, is it? You know, Matic, you're not going to win a title with him, I'm afraid. I know he's won them in the past, but he's on the decline. Herrera, I'm not convinced you can win a title with him. I think United have got maybe 4 or 5 players you could win a title with. De Gea, Lindelof, Luke Shaw, Paul Pogba, Martial, Rashford. The rest of the spots are either up for grabs or we've got to buy. But I think I wouldn't sell Jesse Lingard. I'd sell Fellaini. I'd sell bloody Jones. I wouldn't sell Lingard. I think he gets it. He gets what wearing the shirt's all about. He's explosive. He doesn't stop running. I think for a last 20 minutes bench player, he'd be perfect in a team that's going for a title. But I'm not convinced he's actually good enough to play first team football for United in a title winning team. I'd love him to prove me wrong. Kenny says that Greenwood's not in the squad. It had been rumoured that he wasn't, which is a bit of a shame. But it just goes to show you, though, doesn't it? You know, the press were saying, it just goes to show, doesn't it? It just goes to show how, you know, he was meant to be being promised to start in this game, and he doesn't use him. Mason Greenwood should be playing for Manchester United. He should be. He deserves it. He's been absolutely fantastic. He's not too young. He should be playing in a game like that because Reading are absolutely shit. And I'm disappointed, but in some ways, and nothing's ever going to run smoothly no matter how much you love the manager. Lewis Edwards says, if you could buy one of Lozano or Perisic, who would you choose? Lozano. Perisic was 2 years ago. He's not a player to sign now. He's nearly 30. He's definitely not a player to go for now. No way. No way. And he's a good player, but he's too old. But like I say, Chong, here we go. Let me just have a read of this. I've got the confirmed squad been sent to me. Apparently no Angel Gomez in the squad tomorrow, which again just seems a little bit weird. The confirmed squad for tomorrow: Romero, Grant, Delo, Young, Jones, Lindelof and Darmian, Garner, McTominay, Pereira, Fellaini, Fred and Mata, Rashford, Lukaku, Martial, Sanchez, Chong. So no Lingard, no Pogba, no Matic, no Luke Shaw. Makes a lot of sense, but I would have liked to have seen Gomez involved with that. Tahith Chong, easy one. Get on Tahith Chong. His price is rocketing anyway. Football Index, link in the video description. Go and get yourself 20 quid's worth of shares in Tahith Chong. You'll have made a fiver by the end of the week. Wilf Ukuchugu says, what about Ollie as director of football from the summer onwards to keep us bedded in United traditions? No, not for me, Wilf, because I think that the director of football needs to be somebody who understands European football inside out. The director of football role, Ollie's a coach. Director of football role isn't necessarily a coach. They're somebody who, actually, I think it works best for somebody who's got a background in scouting but has a thorough knowledge of football and European football and knows about players. It's not necessarily about being able to coach players. It's about having a knowledge about players. So for me, Ollie, it's like when Peter Schmeichel said, I'll do it. No, it's not. It's not about, you're an ex-player of United and you did really well. I don't care if they played for United before. I want somebody like Mitchell. It's Mitchell who was at Southampton and is now at RB Leipzig. That's what you want. Somebody like that. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Please do drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And have a go on Football Index. The link's in the video description. You want to get on that before the game tomorrow, especially if you're going to get Tahith Chong. Football stock market where you can buy real shares in players and watch their prices go up and down. Tahith Chong's my tip. I really want him to play tomorrow. Liam Thorpe says, your top 3 United players of all time and your top 3 United players must sign, be it January or in the summer. Keep up the great work. Well, thanks Liam for the contribution and thanks for putting me on the spot. My top 3 United players of all time, definitely Roy Keane. I'm going to say Duncan Edwards because that's why I support them, because my granddad loved him, and George Best. And then the 3 players that United need to sign, must sign. Well, we need a centre-back, so let's say Koulibaly. We need a right-sided midfielder, so let's say Memphis. And we need a midfielder, so let's say Ndombele. That would be my 3. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a go on Football Index, link in the video description. Smash the like button. And remember, tomorrow we're live at 11:30 with the team news. Watch along. Manchester United versus Reading. Have a good evening. I'll speak to you all soon.